The wind doesn't groan. That is the first lesson you relearn on the morning of week 9. You are up on the watchtower, staring at a tree line that looks exactly like it did yesterday. But the acoustics are wrong. There is a low-frequency vibration in the air, a sound that isn't travelling through the atmosphere so much as it is pressing against it. It sounds like distant machinery, a grinding capability that never stops. But the grid is dead. There is no machinery left. You take your binoculars, the ones with the scratched lenses you pulled off a hunter in week 2, and you scan the horizon. Nothing. Just the trees. But your stomach drops. It is a biological reaction, a prey response. Your body knows what your eyes haven't seen yet. A mega herd is drifting. It is not hunting you specifically. It is simply occupying space, moving like a fluid, filling every low point in the topography. And your farm, your fortress, your little kingdom of dirt, is directly in the drainage path. The apocalypse doesn't care about your little arrangements. The test has arrived. This isn't a movie scenario. In the movies, the hero sees the threat and racks a shotgun. In reality, you freeze. You do the math. You calculate the ammo in your stockpile versus the noise density in the air. You realise that firing a single shot right now is suicide. It is the dinner bell for 10,000 walking corpses. We are moving past the initial chaos phase of this timeline. We are entering the endurance phase. If you are watching this, you are looking for a strategy that keeps your family breathing when the world tries to suffocate them. This isn't just a video, it's a briefing for the new world order. If you want to be in the war room for the next scenario, if you want the tactical breakdowns that YouTube suppresses, click the join button below. Enlist in the unit. Support the channel so we can keep running these simulations. Get your rank. Now, back to the watchtower. The sound is getting louder. The first visual confirms the audio. It looks like oil spilling through the tree trunks. At 3 miles out, individual zombies are indistinguishable. They are a texture, a grey-brown sludge moving between the green of the forest. You see the birds first, crows and buzzards lifting off the canopy in agitated swarms, displaced by the mass movement below. Then you see the sway. The herd doesn't walk in a straight line. It stumbles, bounces off obstacles, and corrects itself. It is fluid dynamics made of rotting meat. You grab the radio. This is the moment your comms discipline pays off. You don't scream. You don't shout, "They're coming!" over the open channel. You key the mic and say 3 words. Condition red. Silent. That's it. That is the trigger phrase you practiced in week 5. That phrase initiates a sequence of events that determines whether your children live to see tomorrow or get torn apart in their beds. Let's talk about what happens in the settlements that didn't prepare. The settlements that treated the apocalypse like a camping trip. When they see the herd, the instinct is force protection. The men run to the walls with AR-15s. They start shouting orders. Mothers start grabbing kids and running to the vehicles. Engines turn on. That noise, that engine turnover, in a silent dawn, that sound travels for miles. The herd, which was drifting aimlessly, suddenly has a heading. The chaos inside the perimeter draws the eye of the dead. The shooting starts, which drops maybe 50, maybe 100 of them. But there are 5,000 behind the first wave. The brass casings hit the floor, the barrels melt down, and the wall of flesh just pushes over the chain link fence by sheer weight. Those settlements are gone by noon. We aren't doing that. We are doing the opposite. Condition red means complete sensory deprivation for the enemy. We are scrubbing our signature. The goal is not to fight the herd. The goal is to be a rock in the river. We want the water to flow around us. You rush down the ladder. Your team is already moving. No running. Running creates footfalls. Running creates panting. Fast walking only. Soft-soled boots. Every window shutter in the main compound is closed. Blackout curtains are dropped. But here is the detail the amateurs miss. The smell. You have a latrine pit on the south side? Cover it with lime and soil immediately. You have a stew cooking? Douse the fire, seal the pot, and bury it if you have to. The undead track by sound first, but once they are close, they investigate by scent. If your base smells like roasted pork and unwashed bodies, they will linger. You need to smell like dirt, ash, and nothingness. This is the hardest part of week 9, the animals. You have chickens. You maybe have a goat or a cow you liberated from a nearby farm. They are your wealth. They are your future protein. But a rooster crowing or a goat bleating when 1,000 zombies are pressing against your fence is a death sentence for the entire colony. You have a choice, a cold, tactical choice. You can bring them inside the main structure, risking hygiene issues and noise in the echo chamber of the hallway. Or you can cut them loose to draw the herd away. Or you put them down. In this scenario, you compromise. The chickens go into crate storage in the soundproofed root cellar. The larger animals? You let them into the back paddock, far from the house. If the zombies take them, they take them. It's a sacrifice to the gods of survival. You cannot risk your child's life for a goat. If you hesitate on this, you aren't ready to lead. The doors are barred. Not just locked, barred. You dropped the heavy oak beams into the steel brackets you welded in week 4. The physical thud of the wood seating into the metal is the last loud noise you will make for 12 hours. Now, the count. You move room to room. Everyone is accounted for. There are 15 of you, 3 families. You look at their faces. The adrenaline dump is hitting them. Hands are shaking. Pupils are dilated. They look to you. They need to see a rock, not a reflection of their own fear. You speak in a whisper, barely audible. Sit down, backs to the interior walls. Stay off the floorboards near the exterior. Breathe through your nose. You are reducing the seismic footprint of your group. You are making the house feel empty. It hits 20 minutes later. The vanguard. It's not a crash, it's a scraping. The first zombie bumps into the siding of the house. It's like a drunk person stumbling home, dragging a heavy coat against the wall. Then another. Then the shuffling becomes a continuous white noise, like heavy rain on a tin roof, but heavier, wet, slapping sounds. You are sitting in the dark, clutching a hatchet, listening to dead feet drag through your flower beds. You hear the tripwires outside snapping. You disabled the noisemakers, thank God, but the wires are still there. You hear bodies falling into the shallow drainage ditches, then more bodies walking over them. It is a tide of meat. The light coming through the cracks in the blackout curtains flickers as shapes pass in front of the sun. The room gets darker. The smell hits the house. A sweet, cloying rot that seeps through the weep holes in the brick. I can see the comment section right now. Sergeant Miller, this is defeatist. Why are you hiding? Why didn't you set up a fatal funnel? Why didn't you use Molotovs? Burn them all! Let me address that. You are applying video game logic to a physics problem. We estimated this herd at 2,000 plus. If you throw a Molotov, you don't have a pile of ash. You have a flaming zombie. Now you have a flaming zombie walking into your wooden porch. Now your house is on fire. You run out of the burning house and there are 1,999 waiting for you. What about shooting? You have 15 people, maybe 10 are shooters. Do you have 5,000 rounds of ammo stockpiled? Can your barrels handle sustained fire without warping? Can your shooters hit headshots while hyperventilating with panic? No, the math doesn't work. Combat is the failure state. Evasion is the success state. We are hiding because we want to win. This is the exam for your engineering. The herd is dense now. They are pressed against the house on all sides. The physical pressure on the walls is immense. It's not just wind load, it's the weight of bodies crushing against each other. You hear the studs groaning. This is why we brace the door frames. This is why we boarded the windows from the inside as well as the outside, anchoring the plywood into the studs with 6-inch lags. If you had just nailed up some planks like they do in the movies, those nails would have popped 10 minutes ago. A window would shatter, arms would reach in, and the breach would occur. But your prep holds. The 2x4s flex, but they don't break. The door heaves in its frame, but the crossbar doesn't splinter. You are living inside a submarine, and the ocean is made of bone and teeth. The engineering is holding. The people are breaking. This is the part nobody talks about. A 4-year-old child doesn't understand tactical silence. The child hears the monsters scratching at the wall 3 feet away. The child starts to whimper. The mother looks at you, eyes wide, terrified that the sound will travel. You see the father's hand hovering over the kid's mouth, shaking. This is the nightmare scenario. You don't need water to live right now. You need silence to keep that father from doing something he will regret forever. You move in, softly. You use the red light flashlight. You have the distraction kit ready. A soft toy, a piece of hard candy that takes a long time to dissolve. You ground them. You whisper, "The walls are stone. They cannot get in. We are ghosts." You are not a soldier right now. You are a therapist in a war zone. You manage the panic because panic is noise, and noise is death. Hours pass. The sun moves across the sky, but you can't see it. The groaning outside changes pitch. Sometimes it swells, a chorus of agitation when a zombie trips or fights another zombie. Sometimes it lulls. You have to pee. Everyone has to pee. You can't flush the toilet. The sound of water refilling the tank is too loud, and the vibration in the pipes could attract attention. You use the bucket system, a 5-gallon bucket with a gasket lid lined with a trash bag and kitty litter. You do your business in the corner, seal the lid, and sit back down. It's degrading. It's miserable. It smells. But this is survival. Survival isn't glory. Survival is shitting in a bucket in the dark while monsters scratch at the siding. If you're too proud for the bucket, you're too proud to live. Mid-afternoon. A crash. Glass breaking. Not the main windows, the skylight. You forgot the skylight. Or maybe a branch fell on it, weighed down by a climber. A zombie falls through the roof, landing on the hallway floor in a shower of safety glass. It's stunned, broken legs, but thrashing. It hisses. This is it, the breach. If it screams, the herd outside will focus on that spot. They will tear the roof off to get to the source of the noise. You don't hesitate. You are on it before it can draw a breath. Hatchet, down, sever the brainstem. No gunshots, no screaming, just wet, brutal violence in the semi-darkness. You freeze. Did they hear the glass? Did they hear the thud? You wait. Outside, the shuffling continues. No surge, no change in the rhythm. You got away with it. You look at the hole in the roof. You grab a mattress from the nearest bed and jam it into the ceiling gap, bracing it with a broom handle. Patching the hull. Sunset. The pressure begins to ease. Not all at once. The herd is like a storm system. The trailing edge takes time to pass. The main density has moved on, following the path of least resistance, flowing downhill toward the city, or following a deer that bolted hours ago. The scratching at the walls stops. The groaning becomes distant again, but you don't move. This is the rookie mistake, popping the hatch too early. The stragglers are the most dangerous. The ones that got stuck in your bushes, the ones with broken legs crawling in your driveway. They are the landmines left behind by the army. You maintain discipline. You whisper to the group, "Not yet. We wait for dawn." You sleep in shifts, one person awake, listening, hatchet in hand. The rest try to sleep, twitching at every settling floorboard. Dawn breaks. The silence is real this time. It's the silence of aftermath. You go to the second floor, to the peephole. The yard is a wreck. Your vegetable garden is mulch, trampled into a paste of mud and destroyed plants. Your fences are buckled, the chain link stretched and torn like fabric. There are bodies, maybe 20 of them. Stragglers, cripples, ones that got caught on spikes or fell into the ditch and couldn't climb out. They are still moving, but sluggishly. The main herd is gone. You signal the team. Clear and sweep. This is tactical now. You open the door. The air smells of copper and rot. You move out in pairs. Spears and blunt weapons. Save the ammo. You dispatch the stragglers methodically. Stab, check, move. Stab, check, move. It's work. It's manual labor. You are cleaning up the trash. Once the perimeter is secure, you inspect the infrastructure. The damage tells a story. Look at where the zombies piled up. The corners. They hate corners. They get stuck in 90-degree angles and just push until the structure gives. You see the scratch marks on the siding, thousands of them, stripping the paint down to the wood. You check the water barrels. 2 were knocked over, precious gallons lost because they weren't strapped to the wall. That's a lesson. You check the solar panels on the ground array. Cracked, walked on. That's a major loss. Power will be tight for months. This is the tuition you pay for the survival curriculum. Every broken item is a lesson in physics. You failed to anticipate the mass. You thought about them as individuals, not as a fluid. Here is the invisible threat, the sludge. The herd left a film of biohazard across your entire property. If you have a scratch on your hand and you touch that railing, you might get the infection. Not the zombie virus maybe, but staph, sepsis, gangrene. The ground is toxic. You have to decontaminate your own home. You bring out the bleach stocks, the sand. You assume everything outside is poison. You wear gloves to garden for the next month. You scrape the top inch of soil off the vegetable beds and dump it in the burn pit. And the bodies. You have 20 corpses to dispose of. You can't leave them. They attract predators. They breed flies. You can't bury them. Too much work risks contaminating the water table. You have to burn them. A pyre. Downwind. It takes a lot of wood to burn a body completely. It's a grim day of work, smoke, and silence. We don't just rebuild, we upgrade. The stress test showed us the weak points. First, the corners. We are installing deflector wedges on the exterior corners of the house. Angled plywood or sheet metal that pushes the flow of the herd around the corner so they don't pile up and crush the frame. We are digging the ditches deeper. The ones that were 3 feet deep are now 6 feet deep. If they fall in, we want them to stay in until we can deal with them. We are moving the solar array to the roof. We are reinforcing the skylights with steel mesh. We are clearing the brush back another 50 yards. If we can see them sooner, we can go silent sooner. The strategy shifts from hope the fence holds to manage the flow of traffic. You are a traffic engineer now. That night, you hold a meeting. You don't call it a debrief, you call it a family dinner. You cook the best food you have. You open a bottle of the good stuff. You let the kids talk. You let them ask about the monsters. You don't lie. You say, yes, it was scary, But look at the walls. They held. You are safe because we built this together. You reframe the trauma as a victory. This is vital. If you don't process the fear, it festers. It turns into hesitation next time. You need your people confident. You tell them, we beat the army of the dead today. We are the apex predators here, not them. You see the shoulders drop. You see the tension leave the room. You survived. The herd moving on wasn't luck. It was the result of 1,000 small decisions made months ago. You are alive not because you are a warrior, but because you were a janitor. You cleaned the perimeter. You maintained the silence. You managed the waste. The media sells you the image of the survivor standing on a pile of skulls with a smoking gun. That is a lie. The survivor is the guy sitting in the dark, quiet, patient, waiting for the storm to pass. The survivor is the one who accepts that he is small and the world is big and dangerous. You don't fight the ocean. You build a boat that can ride the waves. The zombies are just the weather. And today, the forecast was heavy rain. The simulation ends here for the civilians. You've seen the surface level. But the training continues for the unit. Inside the members area, we're going to break down the specific blueprints for those corner deflectors and the chemical recipe for masking your scent when the lime runs out. If you want those files, click Join. Support the channel to secure your rank. The grid isn't what keeps the lights on. It's what keeps the monsters out. Secure your spot now. Dismissed.